natural capital, sustaining of life, it is important that you understand that energy flows in one direction. Energy does what? Flows in one direction, okay? And that nutrients or elements cycle back and forth, okay? Think of this. It's called a cycle because it continually goes around and round. Why is it called the water cycle? Because it goes up into the clouds, comes back down into the ground, etc., etc. Why is it called the carbon cycle? Because we breathe out carbon dioxide. Who breathes it in? Plants. And then they breathe out oxygen, and so on and so on and so on. So it's important that you understand that energy flows and that elements and nutrients cycle. So the flow of energy from the sun to our planet, not all of it gets to the earth. You have about 34 of it reflected back out into space by the atmosphere. Some of it comes down in the form of visible light and is absorbed by the earth. Some of that heat is then radiated back out into the atmosphere. Okay, some of it stays trapped within the Earth's atmosphere, and this is called the greenhouse effect. This is why our Earth is habitable, because this greenhouse effect has allowed the Earth's temperature to maintain basically at a stable, livable temperature. If it did not stay, if some of the heat did not stay trapped within the troposphere and the stratosphere, our planet would be freezing cold and probably not habitable for much of the life here on Earth. Okay? The amount of energy received and topography of the region determines the climate, not weather. This is different from weather. Okay? Not weather. Climate is the topography and region that of a region determines a climate. This is a year thing. It is the weather is a daily basis. So let me write up here. Ready? Weather is what occurs. Whoa. Weather is what occurs on a daily basis. Okay? Climate is what occurs on a yearly basis. And then, I'm sorry, guys. And then we are able, weather, let's see if I can get this right. Hello, Mr. Penn, please work. Okay, weather occurs on a daily basis. Hey, what's the weather going to be like today? You don't sit there and say, hey, what's the climate going to be like today, right? No. So you say, what's the weather? That occurs daily. Climate occurs yearly. And once we're able to determine the weather within a year's basis, we can say this is the climate of this region for the year. Terrestrial parts of the biosphere are classified as biomes. We know that there's about 7 of them. Can you name them all? Keep going. All right, well, we'll see if you're right. And then aquatic life zones describe different areas where water, fresh water, and salt water are found. The 7 major biomes, here you go. We've got deciduous forest, we've got deserts, we've got grasslands, we've got the ones that don't give me all of the biomes. But as you can see, we're going to discuss these in greater detail. There is precipitation, okay, that goes along with each particular biome, and obviously it's going to be more or less depending upon the topography of the land. Here are your biomes of the world. There are 7. You've got tundras, you've got forests, you've got grasslands, you've got deserts, you've got rainforests, savannas, mountains. And if you look here, here's the equator, okay? And orange right here is savannas. Up here is desert, okay? Ice. Greenland is basically composed of ice. And within here, we've got different types of forests. So the 7 major biomes, right, are deserts. Let's start with the top. Tundras, okay? Then you got taigas. Then you've got forests. You've got deserts. You've got tropical rainforests. You've got savannas. And you also have grasslands. Okay, here, savannas, thorn forest. Right here is us, Florida. So we are basically a temperate deciduous forest. That is basically what our biome is in Florida. Okay, so if you look at the aquatic life and of biomes, you're going to see freshwater and you're going to see saltwater. Let's start with the freshwater because everybody loves going to the beach. Okay, so here, this area, the coastal zone, is the most highly developed of all of the animals. Think about this. Why would you have to be more highly developed to live in the coastal zone than you would, say, here in the euphotic zone? Well, what happens over here? You have a low and a high tide. So one at half of the day you're exposed to water, the other half of the day you're exposed to sunlight. So you've got to deal with two different environments. You've got a variety of temperature changes, climate, sunlight changes, salinity changes. So here, these guys are pretty tough because of all the environmental conditions that they have to be able to withstand. The euphotic zone, why is it called euphotic? Well, it's because of the sun. Until about 200 meters down, the sunlight can reach about 200 meters in depth, and you see a lot of your photo living organisms such as algae, okay, and your large animals. As you get down further and further, the diversity of animals decreases as well as the size of the animals decrease until you get all the way down here at the abyssal zone where the animals have learned or have evolved to basically create light. Isn't this our little Nemo fish right here? Yay! There's our little Nemo guy, right? And you also have the thermal vents in this area spewing out a bunch of nutrients and things like that. And then you've got little bacteria that live around these thermal vents, and they are the start of the food chain down here. They don't rely on sunlight. They rely on chemicals to create energy for themselves, not necessarily the sun. Not the sun at all, because they wouldn't reach down there. Okay, ecosystem components. We have the non-living. Examples of those would